Hi, this is Derek Murphy from creativeindie.com, and I'm talking a little bit about book cover design contests because some people ask me, if you're an indie author, if you're self-publishing, you've probably thought about entering book award contests or book contests where usually you pay a fee to enter, and then you might win a prize or you might get a nomination or something. That's kind of a different beast. The book award, indie writing um, awards, they can be worthwhile for some books. It's one more thing that you could try to do to market your books to get your book out to a bigger audience. But something that's similar and a little different is a book cover design contest. And a lot of indie authors, it's an interesting phenomenon because it's not something really from the traditional publishing world, but with self-publishing and indie authors, there's a lot of indie author platforms that do book cover design contests. And the reason they do it is because it's great for traffic, because how they usually work, and I'm going to do one because they're great for traffic, and I'll tell you more about it in a minute. But how they work is you ask people to submit their book cover. Sometimes they'll pay a fee, maybe not. But then you put all the book covers up on your website, and then you get people to vote or comment. And so what happens is you have a page on your website with all these book covers, and all the authors of those books are going to tell all their friends to go to your website to vote for their book covers. So it's an easy way to get a lot of other people driving traffic to your website, which is great. That's smart. You always want more traffic to your website. It's great for website owners who are trying to build traffic. It's not so great for indie authors. And there are several reasons. One is you're driving traffic to somebody else's website. However, if you don't have to pay for it, you're getting featured on somebody else's website. That's never really a bad thing. You want to be on as many websites as you can be. Your book on some other website is just more people finding you than they would find you otherwise. And if somebody wants to do a book cover contest and they want you to submit your book, I mean, why not? But if you're paying a fine, if you're paying $15, $20, $30, then you need to consider, is that book cover contest going to drive any sales? Is it going to bring people back to my website? And so you want to think about, does it have a link to my Amazon page? Does it link back to my website? Does it give all the right information, or is it just the book cover? The other really huge problem with book cover design contests, the idea of a book cover contest is that the best book cover will win the contest. That almost never happens with indie self-publishing book cover contests. What usually happens is they might hire a celebrity judge. I mean, a lot of people ask me to be a judge on book cover contests because I'm pretty well known as a book cover designer. And I may have some influence, but it's almost always also a crowd vote. So I may have like 10% or 25%, or I may get the final decision vote. But to get those finalists up, it's probably going to be crowdsourced. So they're just going to ask everybody, what do you think? And so what you'll get is the author who does the most promotion, who sends the most traffic, who has the biggest following, they're going to win the book cover design contest, even if they have a really ugly cover. And that happens quite often. So you get these book cover contests that have 50 ugly covers, and 5 of them might win the finalist. They won the book cover award contest. And so then you see all these self-publishing websites teaching people about self-publishing, and their representation of good book cover design is, these are the book cover design award winners for the book cover contest, and they're really ugly covers. And that happens because the self-publishing authors who need to market their books, and they're working really hard to market their books, they may not have the best covers. If they had really good covers, they might have to work much less hard to market their books. So the people who are really out there promoting their books all the time, often they have bad covers, and they have to try harder to overcome that disability that they started out with an ugly cover. And so that's what I think the danger of these book award contests is. If they're crowdsourced, if it's a popularity vote, you're never going to get the actual best cover. And so there are exceptions. Joel Friedlander has a indie book award contest, a self-publishing book award contest, but it's not crowdsourced. He comments on each cover, so you get valuable feedback from somebody who knows design for each cover. So even if you submit, even if he tells you the book cover is terrible, that's great advice, and you're getting free advice from a book cover designer who really knows his business. That's much more valuable than winning an award on some self-publishing book award contest with no judges who know what they're doing, or a crowdsourced vote, because those awards are meaningless and they're perpetuating a stereotype of what it means to have a well done self-published book cover. And so that can be really dangerous. From my site, DIYbookcovers.com, because I have a new free online graphic design tool that I want to get people using, I'll have a book cover design contest soon on that site, but you'll have to make a book cover design with my tool, and I'll have a really big prize, like $1,000 book marketing package, or a Hawaiian vacation, or I mean something really valuable to get more people doing it. But it won't be crowdsourced. It won't be everybody can vote. I'll pick the winners, and I'll leave feedback on the covers so that people can get a response from a designer. Does this work or not? What's wrong with it? How can you fix it? How can you make it better? Because that's what you really want. And there's also the problem with it's a two-edged sword. I don't know if that's the right metaphor, but a lot of people will also post their book covers on Facebook, and they'll say, here are 3 covers, which do you like best? That's great for book marketing because you want to be asking advice. Like if you said, here's my new book, people will ignore you. But if you say, here are 3 covers, which do you like best? You're getting people invested in your project. They're getting aware of your project and your book cover and your plans to publish soon, and you're letting them be invested. So they give an opinion. They're going to care a lot more whether your book is successful later. They're more likely to support it because you've listened to their feedback while you were producing it. That's great marketing. Everybody should be doing that. However, the feedback you get from people on Facebook is not going to be very good. And most of those people don't know anything about design. And most of those people, if you consider a book cover on Facebook, that's not how you are responding to a book cover on Amazon. It's very different. So you might see something on Facebook and you see some options and you say, I like this one. That doesn't mean if you saw that on Facebook, it would work for you to click and buy the book. And that's different. Also, people are going to tell you a lot of different things. You'll get 50 comments that tell you different things, unless sometimes it happens that one is overwhelmingly positive and they really like that one. If so, you're lucky, and that's good advice. I've also seen it happen often where they'll post 3 or 4 covers, and myself and a couple other guys, they'll like one, and everybody else will like another one. So the author will choose the other one that's not as strong because they listen to the crowd who doesn't know anything about book cover design. That's a danger if you're asking for feedback, and that's also a problem with book cover award contests if you don't know who's judging it or you're getting feedback from anyone. So you want to be careful. If you're doing one, it shouldn't just be a popularity vote. On the other hand, if you're doing it just as another way to market your book, you kind of want to know how big the website is, how big their followers are. Like if they have a website and they have 20,000 Twitter followers and they're doing a book award contest, they're going to tell their followers about the contest. So if you put your book in their contest and they share with their followers, that's a pretty good transaction. If you pay 15 or 20 bucks to reach their 20,000 Twitter followers, that's not a bad deal. It might generate some sales as long as you're also allowed to put your description, your summary, a link to your Amazon page, a little more information for people to click through. But that's the kind of thing you want to consider. You don't want to just pay 15 or 20 bucks everywhere to anybody assuming that it'll do something, because oftentimes it won't. I mean, you can pay 100 bucks to do a Twitter blast to 1 million people and it won't sell any books, because Twitter blasts don't work to sell books unless people buy books based on trust and reliability. So if they trust someone in a certain genre and they listen to their recommendations, and you can get that person to promote your very relevant book to their audience, that's going to work really well. But that's not what's happening when you pay for a Twitter blast, because they're just sending it to everybody and hoping that somebody likes it. And they send so much of that crap, people have already tuned them out. Those things aren't going to work. Unless you do it very, very well and you have a very compelling offer, you have a brilliant book cover that gets in front of people. If you do a Twitter blast, make sure you have an image, because people ignore the text, but when they're scrolling through their Twitter feed, if you have a brilliant cover design image or a really nice graphic with a quote with a 99-cent today only deal, something extra, that image is going to stand out. If it's good enough image and it reaches enough people, that can have an impact. Anyway, some things to think about. I'm not saying don't sign up with book cover design contests. I'm not saying that they're bad. Um, but I've also seen some that, are kind of pointless and meaningless. And especially, you want to be careful about the results. You don't want to think, oh, I won, I must have a really good book cover design. And then your book isn't selling. You can't figure out why it's not selling because, hey, you won this prize. You have a great book cover design. You really want to get expert advice. You can send it to me and I'll tell you, in one sentence, if it's going to work or if you need a new one. And I can do that because I have 10 years in the industry and I've designed thousands of book covers and I focus on covers that sell books. So I have the capability to size up a cover at one glance and see if it's going to work for you or not. And it's really just a pass fail. There's not a huge range. It's not a gray area. It's either your book cover is good enough to get them to click over and to read your content and your reviews, or it's not good enough and they're just going to look at it and they're going to leave. And that's it. It's a pass fail. So, if you want that kind of feedback, you got to ask somebody who knows what they're doing whether your book cover is good enough or if you need a new one. Getting a new one can easily cut your budgeting for marketing in half, cut all your work in half. People usually complain about, they hate social media, they're working so hard to market their books. The people who are working really hard to market their books probably have an ugly book cover. If you have a really good book cover, marketing is not very hard. You just put it out there and it works because people like the book cover, they click it, you have good reviews, you have good content, your book will keep selling as long as you have everything in place. But the book cover is really important for first-time authors. If you have a platform, it doesn't matter so much. You might get lucky anyway, but if you're starting with no platform, the worse your book cover is, the harder you're going to have to work to make up for it. So it's worth figuring out if you've got a good one and the bulk of your publishing money on your book cover, because that really is going to matter when you're starting out. Thanks.